You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey there, General Hospital fans. I have got a John J. York cancer update for you. When will Mac Scorpio be back to General Hospital? Lots of information to unpack for you. So although fans didn't know it until recently, John J. York was actually diagnosed with 2 forms of cancer last December. And now today we have a huge update on the Mac Scorpio actor's battle with this potentially fatal disease and some answers on how long we have to wait to see him back on General Hospital because his exit comes soon. Before we dig in, if you haven't, please reach down, click subscribe so you don't miss any of our updates. All right. So in December 2022, John York found out he had 2 types of blood and bone marrow cancers. I'm going to try and pronounce this right. Myelodysplastic syndrome, also called MDS, and multiple smoldering myeloma. These cancers affect the blood and the bone marrow and can prevent your body from being able to fight disease because it affects your ability to create healthy blood cells, red cells, white cells, all the good stuff. What's really kind of sad about all this is that John York was already battling 2 other major health disorders that he's had since his teen years. At age 17, he was diagnosed with Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. These are both types of autoimmune disorders. Autoimmune disorders are not fun. I can attest to that personally because I have lupus, which is also an autoimmune disorder. I've been in remission for a while now, but it's awful. You can just get exhausted and run tired because your body's immune system, what an autoimmune disorder is, if you don't know, your body's immune system is attacking your own tissues and organs as if it was an infection. So if you have an autoimmune disorder, rheumatoid arthritis is one, and that's where your body's immune system, your white blood cells, are attacking the joints of your body and destroying them. They're scary and exhausting, and they're hard to diagnose, and the medications for them can almost be as bad as some of the symptoms. So that's a long road he's had, having been diagnosed at 17. Immune disorders are no joke. Usually they require daily medication. They cause pain, depression, and a host of other side effects from both the illness and the treatment for this illness often. So after battling these 2 autoimmune diseases for almost 50 years, now he's got a new battle on his hands. When he was diagnosed with these 2 cancers, John York said he saw it as, quote, just another thing I gotta now take care of. So he said his experience with the 2 gastric autoimmune disorders he has required colonoscopies, medicines, the whole thing. And he said he always had to be under a doctor's care. That's true for any autoimmune disorder. So it was during checkups for his autoimmune disorders that his doctors first noted an anomaly. This is in a story the actor told People magazine. He said they found a spot, I'm assuming like in his digestive tract or whatever, that wouldn't heal. And they were treating him with pill-based chemotherapy. This is fairly common. I've never had to take it, but my sister has lupus also, and she takes a pill chemotherapy dose once a week to control her autoimmune disorder. So then in October of 2022, things weren't improving. So John York was referred for a bone marrow biopsy. And then it was December 9th of last year that he went in to get the test results, and his hematologist suggested that they get his wife, Vicki Manners, on speakerphone with them. If you didn't know, a hematologist specializes in blood-based disorders and diseases. So John said he knew immediately that the doctor asking to get his wife on the call was a red flag, that he was about to get bad news. So after a lot of big words and lengthy disease names, John's wife, Vicki, just cut to the chase. And he says she asked the doctor, "Does my husband have cancer?" And he said, yes. So the actor said he sat there just listening as his wife peppered the hematologist with all these questions. And one of his reactions, John York said, to finding out he had cancer was to ask the doctor, "Why do I feel so good?" He said he still walks 3 miles a day. He was eating well. His appetite's good. He's in good shape. He didn't feel sick. other than the stuff he was already dealing with. So the good news, the doctor said, was that you feel so good because we caught the cancer early. So there were also some complications in deciding the timing on his treatment plan because he and his wife were in the midst of a cross-country move. John York and his wife, Vicki, decided to relocate from LA to Nashville, Tennessee to be near their daughter. And his son-in-law suggested he consider getting treatment in Nashville. And so John is getting his cancer treatment at Vanderbilt, which, if you didn't know, is one of the country's top hospitals. It's a great facility. And then while waiting to find a bone marrow donor, John York had to have a full week of IV chemo treatments once each month. So it was 8 days. And he said these weren't bad because he just sat at a table for less than 30 minutes with an IV drip and then he could go about his day. So now we have a brand new update. John J. York was working with Be the Match, a bone marrow registry service that helps make matches between unrelated donors and patients that are in desperate need of transplants. And through that program, they found John York a bone marrow donor. And from there, he said it turned into months of tests for himself and the potential donor. And then this week, the transplant process finally began. It was determined that they were a match and they're ready to kick it off. So that means at the most, if he was working up until they started it, then we might have another month of him on General Hospital episodes, but I doubt it. I'm betting it's going to be fewer than that. So he said that the first week of the process was 8 days of very strong chemo that will probably make his hair fall out. He said that's not really a big deal, though. More concerning, he said, is the reality that he could die during this process. John York said, I could pass away. I mean, maybe not from the chemo, but when the transplant starts. He said the 8 days of chemo are basically wiping him clean in terms of his blood and DNA. John York said they're wiping all that clean and then they're going to put new stuff in from the donor. And he says it's going to be a new me from there. The Mac Scorpio actor also said there's still a long road ahead, but these next 100 days, I would say, is rocky terrain. So during those 100 days, he is going to have to go back to Vanderbilt Hospital each and every day to be tested, every day of the week. And he said if he gets good test results for like 4 to 6 weeks straight, then they might let him back off of the everyday testing and make it slightly less frequent. But he said the first 3 weeks, the first 20 days are the most crucial. He said test for those 14 to 20 days will give the doctors an idea of whether his body is accepting or rejecting the transplanted stem cells. So if he gets past this 100-day hurdle, from there, it'll be 2 years of medicine and further testing, including painful bone marrow aspiration, where they have to jab a big needle in you to get way deep in the middle of your bone to take out some bone marrow to test it. So not fun. He says he has at least 5 of those ahead of him. John J. York said his stance right now is just taking things one day at a time. And he tweeted, "It's game time," all caps. Of course, he's probably scared, but excited to just get this underway. His chemo began this week, and he's scheduled to have his transplant, barring any complications or delays, on Friday, November 17th. So a week from today is when he's going to get his transplant. 100 days from that date is February 25th, 2024. Remember, he's going to be getting tested daily at Vanderbilt Hospital in Nashville. And even if they decide to start gapping out those tests, if they get good results after 4 or 6 weeks, he's still going to have ongoing testing for those 100 days. So he also said he's basically got to stay at home, except for going in for the testing, to allow his body to accept the stem cells and to recover, and for his immune system to rebuild after it was totally stripped out in these 8 days of chemo. So that means we are not going to get more of John J. York until next year, once his final episode that's coming soon airs. Maybe they'll bring back Mac Scorpio back for like May sweeps, because he's going to be out of commission until nearly March. That means he's going to miss, I think they do sweeps in February still, right? I think they do. So maybe May sweeps will have him back in town. We'll see how it goes, but be sure and watch GH, because very soon They are going to set up and explain why he's leaving town, and that is coming soon. Hey, if you haven't already, please reach down, click subscribe, and definitely drop your comments, drop best wishes here for John J. York's health issues. I know that some people from General Hospital come and they watch our videos, and I'm assuming they probably read the comments. So if you leave a comment here, hopefully John York will see it, or you can leave it on his Twitter. Thanks for listening. Come back soon. I'm here talking GH with you guys every day, and I'm sending all my positive thoughts and prayers to John J. York for a great transplant process, that it's successful, that his health recovers, and he is back to being healthy, to be a husband and a granddad and a dad and all those important things that he does, as well as coming back to General Hospital, because I know all the fans want to see him back. Hey, thanks for tuning in. This has been Belinda from Soap Dirt.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.